Welcome back to the Blender 3 Docwalk. This document is the data block menu. Quick heads up, this is another menu type, but there are a myriad of various instances of this particular type of menu throughout Blender. So just be aware that it appears in several different ways across multiple different editors and areas of Blender. So as long as you get the basics down and understand what it's there for, I think you'll be fine. Okie doke, let's get started. Okay, so first things first, what is a data block? A data block is more or less what Blender uses to kind of as a base class to represent everything. So just about everything in Blender is a data block. Your meshes, your objects, your paths, your lights, your cameras, they're all data blocks. So the data block menu, it's a menu-like structure designed specifically to help you define relationships between data blocks. Okay, so let's jump in here and I will show you a few examples of some data block menus. First one, right off the bat, as soon as you start Blender, you should see one right here. You can see the icon right here, right? This is the object, the icon that signifies, the object type. And it's got a little down arrow right here, right? If I click on it, you're going to see the three objects that are in my scene. I've got my camera, my light, and my cube. Okay, now this little icon is going to indicate to you what sort of data block menu we're dealing with. You can also use this little type icon to drag and drop whatever data block is selected onto your scene, or onto a mesh, or into another data block menu. So let me show you. If I just, right now I've got light selected, right? If I just grab the object icon, click and drag it onto my scene, I will drop another little light. It will create another instance of that light. As you see, it's much lower than the other light. Anyway, you can see up here that it has created light 0.001, indicating that it is, a separate instantiation of that light. Now, the only reason it added that 0.001 to the end of light is, for instance, if I rename the light, actually, let's just do it with the cube. If I rename my cube little ice block, okay, and then I see that it's selected here in the data block menu. Select that guy, and if I drop it onto the scene, it's going to create the next instance or the copy of little ice block .001. It's just the only reason it's adding that is because that name already exists, and so it's just assuming that possibly you might want a series of these. If I did it again, it would be 0.002, 0.003, etc. In fact, let's just go ahead and drop a couple on here so you can see what it does. So it's really just naming convention, keeping all of the object names distinct and separate. Okay, so let's run through a couple of the other. In fact, let's move over to sculpting. Nope, not sculpting. I want to go here. Okay, up here at the very top, we see another data block menu, and this is for images. If I hit new, it's going to ask me to create a blank new image, more or less. And I can name it whatever I like. So big black image. You'll notice a couple of extra things in this menu. There's a little shield. There's this new image icon. There's open an image icon, and there's the close it or unlink it from the project. Okay, so first let's talk about the shield. This just gives your data block a fake user. More or less what a user is within Blender. all it's talking about is when some other data block is linked to and using another data block. So if I've got a mesh or an image covering a mesh, or like my if I've got a UV all unwrapped and linked to the mesh, or if I've got a mesh linked to a mesh, or whatever the case is, the controlling object is the user. The object that is controlling or using the other object is the user. It's not like a human user. It's specifically talking about another object. Now the open button, if I hit that, it's going to bring up a browser window. I can go to, wherever, images, open the anti-grav stamen. Great. Fun, flowery picture here. If I hit the X, it's simply just going to unlink it from what I'm working on. So clipping the X, it didn't delete it, didn't totally get rid of it. I can still access it here. Do you see how this has a little 0 next to it? That's, technically indicating how many other object users there are of that one particular data block. You'll see the big black image has a little F next to it. That's what happens when you give it a fake user. So if I select that, the shield should be check marked here. So if I can go and, give everybody a little fake user, because that's fun. Oh, it keeps moving around here. Okay, so now that all of my images are fake users, if you have an extremely large list, you can go down to the search box here and type in, whatever the name is that you're looking for, and it will begin to just bring up the ones that match the string that you just typed in. Okay, we can keep moving along here, checking out some of these other styles, kind of give you an idea of where they are, what to look for. I mean, I think you should probably get the idea by now. It's got a little icon next to it, down arrow. If there are no data blocks within that particular menu list, you're not going to have anything, a text field showing the name of whichever data block is selected, but you will have a little plus icon with a new, or a folder icon that prompts your file browser so you can open a new image. Let's go ahead and hit new. Give this ASDF. Give it a different color. Weird green. And go ahead and say OK. All right. You'll notice as soon as I did that, the new icon disappeared, and I have what is traditionally there: the shield, the new, the folder, and the X. If I keep going here, we'll run into a couple of others that are actually a little bit more interesting, have a little bit more stuff to unpack here. Okay, so yeah, here we are in shading. This is a materials data block menu. It's just kind of the default. Nothing really there yet. I suppose I could just, yeah, this isn't super fascinating, but this little number here, you see the 4, that's telling me how many other data or objects and or data blocks out there are using this particular material. And because I've only got one material right now, it's all 4 of these cubes are using that one material. Yeah, I just did that. So now I've got 2 materials. Just did not know that that's what happened, but now you know. If you click on the 4, it's going to spawn a new material, apparently. Same sort of stuff. We've got the shield, the new, the unlink icon gets rid of your data block. And I believe that once you unlink something totally, it will no longer be saved in your blend file. So probably something to just be aware of. Okay, so some of this document is a little obscure for beginners, so I'm going to kind of just go over it a little bit because we're going to be going over it in much more detail a little later on. But let's just kind of go over a few of the things it mentions here. So it talks about some data block menus having a preview. I think this is either an option or it may have just been changed, but let's see. If we go to, let me think, probably textures and pop open a new one. All right, that's kind of fun. Okay, so if we go up to the menu here and click on the down arrow, we'll see the texture, whatever we want to name it, T1, sure. And we'll see T1's a little preview of the texture here. Another thing it seems to make mention of is kind of the data block like menus, but without all of the right set buttons. So if we just go to object, there's one that's exactly that right here. Click on the down arrow, it gives us all of the objects that we have on our scene. The same one we talked about at the very beginning, but yeah, we don't have any of the extra operational buttons to the right. The rest of this document, it talks about sub-IDs and, using pointing a bone to a target. And you're not going to know what that means at all unless you know a little bit more about Blender. So we're just going to kind of nix the rest of this because you've already got the general basic idea. And when we do get to that section, this part is an unavoidable topic that we will be talking about vertex groups and targets and linking bones with their targets and all sorts of fun stuff like that. So we're just going to leave it at that for now. Yeah, don't worry. You're not missing anything special right now. This is nothing you could just jump into immediately and start using. You're going to have to learn about armatures and how to use them in animation and how to, parent-child relationships between armature chains and all sorts of stuff. So you're not missing anything, trust me. As long as you have the basic idea of what a data block is and, the data block menus, you're golden. So let's pop out of here. So yeah, that was the data block menu document. And I will see you guys next time in list views and presets.